Have these words or phrases come out of your mouth when you are teaching your child how to write? Why do you keep making this same mistake over and over? You need to manage your time better. I don't understand what this paper is saying. If anything like that has come out of your mouth, you need to stay tuned and listen to this podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about don't say that 10 phrases to avoid when helping your child write. My name is Mrs. Brown, and I help homeschooling parents turn their children into exceptional writers. Let's get into this today. All right, as parents, we want the best for our children, right? We want to see them succeed when they're writing. We want them to feel confident. We want them to embrace new papers with enthusiasm. However, in the process of helping them with their writing, it's easy to slip into patterns of communication that can unintentionally discourage them. It's important to remember that learning is a journey filled with ups and downs, especially with writing, and how we respond can make all the difference. Now, before I get started, let me just go ahead and say this is a no shame zone. I have made every one of these mistakes. I could probably add to the list of things you shouldn't say. But what I want to do is I realize that when we're preparing our children to write and we're thinking about the curriculum, we're putting our schedule together, we're making sure they have all of the resources. But another thing we need to really put or make a priority when it comes to planning and preparing is what we want to say to them along the path of writing. Because writing is a marathon, it's not a sprint. There's going to be frustration on your end and their end. And I just want to just remind you that it's a really good idea to prepare phrases and statements and words that are affirming. So in this podcast, I'm going to explore some common scenarios that many parents encounter when we're helping our children with their writing assignments. And I will also provide some supportive alternatives to those discouraging comments that can sometimes slip out. Again, guilty here. I am guilty. I am guilty. I'm not coming to you saying, hey, look at me, Mrs. Perfect, Mrs. Brown. Absolutely not, because my kids will let you know, no, she was not perfect. So I just want to let you know that I'm coming from a position of I have been there and I'm still practicing. I am still practicing. But by using more positive language, we can really create a nurturing environment that encourages our children to learn and to grow as writers. So let's go ahead and talk about scenario number one. Scenario number one, when your child is struggling with a difficult assignment. Writing it is hard. And the reason that it's hard is because they can really have a lot of cognitive load because there's so many skills that the children have to use when they are writing. And so here's what not to say when you see them struggling with a difficult assignment. Why do you always find this so hard? Right? So here's a supportive comment that you can say instead. And get your paper. I meant to say, go ahead and get a paper out because this is a podcast. Unless you're driving, don't do that if you're driving. But if you're sitting down, do write this down. You know what not to say, and then here's what you could say in its place, and then think of other things that you could say as well. This is not an exhaustive list. So instead of saying why do you always find this so hard? You can say, this is a tough assignment, but I believe you can tackle it, and I'm here to help you. So it is natural for kids to face challenges when it comes to writing, especially with difficult subjects, especially if writing is difficult, or different aspects of writing are difficult. So instead of highlighting their struggles, not ignoring them, but instead of highlighting them, remind them that it's okay to find things hard and that you believe in their ability to overcome the obstacles, and most importantly, that you are there, or whatever resources you have available to you, whether you're taking a live class or you have some other resources that you prepared to help them with that, and they're not alone. All right, number two, this will happen when your child is learning how to write. They will make mistakes. So instead of saying, how can you make such a simple mistake? It could be spelling or something like that. Here is a reframe for when your child makes a mistake, maybe even the same mistake over and over. You can say this: mistakes are part of learning. Let's see how we can fix this together. And then this positions you as a teammate, right? Because that's really what we are. We are on their team. We are there to help, not just to criticize. We're really there to help them. So mistakes are a vital part of the learning process when it comes to anything, and definitely writing is no different. But so by framing errors as opportunities for growth, you help your child understand that everyone makes mistakes and they can learn from them. So they don't take away like, I'm stupid, or I can't do this, I'm not as smart as everybody else. Because sometimes children can feel that way when they make mistakes, if we say things like, how could you make such a simple mistake? So that's something you can do when you notice that your child is making mistakes in writing or the same mistake multiple times. All right, scenario number 3: when your child feels overwhelmed, right? And you're like, why are they feeling so overwhelmed? What's going on? It should be that difficult. So sometimes we might say something like, you need to get your act together, like get it together. Instead of saying that, a more supportive comment can be, it looks like you have a lot on your plate. How can I help you manage it? Or what can I do to help? And then listen to what they have to say, and then of course respond. So when a writing assignment or when writing assignments pile up, it can feel daunting. So instead of placing blame, offer your support and help them prioritize their task. This shows them they're not alone in their struggles. And one skill set that I think a lot of people overlook, that is being practiced when your child is writing, is the skill of executive functioning, like the skill of managing your time and breaking your assignments into smaller tasks to get it done. And so they can feel overwhelmed because not every child is organized, and they're learning how to become an organized person through the practice of writing. All right, number 4: when your child expresses frustration about their progress. So maybe they're noticing, I'm not doing as well as I want to. We might say sometimes when we notice, this is what not to say, you should be further along by now, right? Ooh, that hurts even to hear that. And I know I probably said that to my kids years ago. Here's a more supportive comment: it's okay to feel frustrated. Progress takes time, and I am here to support you. Something that someone said to me a while ago was like, progress is not linear. It's okay. Like sometimes we're going straight and then we take some dips back and then we keep going. Like progress is not always linear. It's all right. And it's important for your child to know that feeling frustrated is normal. It's a normal part of the learning process. Reassure them that you're there to help them navigate those feelings, and you're there to provide any support that they need along the journey. So if you're in one of my classes, you know that I primarily, from my full year classes, use the Institute for Excellence in Writing. And one thing I love about their philosophy is that they say you can never help your child too much. So you can help them as much as they need to relieve that frustration. The goal is that we want to keep them motivated to keep trying again. All right, number 5, scenario number 5: when your child is hesitant to share their ideas. So maybe they just maybe might feel a little bit insecure about what they have to share, or they might not feel confident in their ideas or their word choices or something they might have in mind. We want to avoid saying, why are you being shy? Just speak up, right? That doesn't necessarily work. So a more supportive reframe, a more supportive comment is this: I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your ideas are valuable. Encourage a child to express themselves by validating their feelings. Let them know that their opinions matter and that you're interested in what they have to say. One thing I love about my live classes, one of my favorite parts is when the students share their work with each other. and we get a chance to celebrate their work. Celebrate, oh wow, look at that strong verb you used, or that adjective you used to describe whatever we're writing about that week. So that every single week they can come to a live class and get validation, can get encouragement, can have people say, wow, what a great job. I see you, right? We all want that. So I'm just curious, which one or two are resonating with you this year? Which ones are you writing down saying, all right, this is the one that I am putting down on my sheet to make sure I rinse and repeat this encouraging comment or phrase. I hope some of these are resonating with you. All right, let's go to scenario number 6. We only have a few more to go. When your child receives feedback they don't like. So maybe if they are in a class, they're getting some feedback about their paper, and they get some feedback that maybe they don't particularly love. This is something you want to avoid saying. This is not what I expected from you. All right. So, not that. Here's what you can say instead. Feedback is a chance to grow. Let's look at it together and see what we can improve. All right. So again, feedback is a chance to grow. Let's look at it together and see what we can improve. Feedback can be tough to swallow, especially for sensitive learners. Help them see feedback as a constructive tool rather than a judgment, right? And make sure that the spaces that they're in, they understand, the people who are giving them feedback understand that the feedback is to help them get better. It's not a judgment, and ensuring that they're communicating that way. That's one thing I'm really, really mindful about when I share any kind of feedback with my students. I always want to make sure I'm affirming something, sharing a small tweak they can make, and then end with another affirmation. And so again, you can say, hey, it's constructive feedback is a way to improve. It's not a judgment, and work with your child to find ways to improve. And again, don't forget, you can never help them too much. Scenario number 7, when your child feels discouraged after maybe a poor grade, this is kind of along the lines of feedback. You need to do better next time these are words we want to avoid. You need to do better next time. Instead, say, I know this grade is disappointing. Let's figure out what we can learn from this experience. So in some situations, students won't be able to change their grade. In my classes, again, the way that we handle grades are just information. It just lets you know how closely or not you followed the checklist, and they can always, in my live classes, edit, revise, and turn it in for a higher grade, because the goal is not the grade, right? The goal is that you learn. The goal is that you are grasping the concept and that you're learning. But in a scenario where the grade stands, you can handle it this way. So grades are just one measure of learning. Acknowledge their feelings and help them understand that setbacks can lead to valuable lessons. All right, number 8, scenario 8. When your child is hesitant about trying new papers or writing a different type of paper, instead of saying, you just need to be more confident, you can say this instead. Trying new things can be scary, like writing a new kind of paper. So maybe they've never written a persuasive essay or a literary analysis. You can say, trying new things, writing new kinds of papers, that's kind of scary. It scares me too when I have to do something new. But it's also a great way to learn. And I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Encouraging your child to step out of their comfort zone by acknowledging their fears while also highlighting the benefits of new experiences are really important. That's really important. Your support can make all the difference. All right, scenario number 9. We're almost to the last one. When your child feels like giving up, like, I'm done. I know we've all probably been there just ourselves. We're all human. I'm done. I'm over this. I just want to give up on this paper. I don't like it. I just want to quit, right? Instead of saying, don't say, you can't just quit. You can't just quit. Say this instead. It's normal to feel like giving up sometimes. That is totally normal. Let's break it down and tackle it step by step. So again, that might be executive functioning skills that they need to work on. Like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I feel like giving up. Let's see how we can break this down into smaller chunks that are less overwhelming, right? We can just do this small piece And then all these small pieces will add up to the whole thing. So when projects become overwhelming or papers become overwhelming, it's easy for kids to feel like giving up. Help them take a step back and break the task into manageable parts, reinforcing the idea that perseverance is key, right? Because we can't always give up, but the way that we frame that or phrase that for them will help them to understand how they can tackle or approach feeling like giving up in the future. All right, we are now at number 10. 10, when your child is struggling with time management. I know we're talking about time management a lot, and I think it's really important because that comes into play, particularly with writing. Like in my the class is called the SSS 2B, Structure and Style for Students 2B. My students write a 12 paragraph essay, and this is, my upper middle school into high school class. And my high school classes, they are definitely writing what they call super essays, 12 to 16 paragraphs. You must manage your time, right? I think all of us, I know I've had that moment in college where I'm like, okay, pulling an all-nighter to type the paper that I should have typed a long time ago. And we want to teach them how to manage their time a little bit wiser. So instead of saying, you need to manage your time better, this is what not to say. Here's what you could say instead. It looks like you're feeling a bit rushed. Let's talk about how we can create a schedule that works for you. Time management can be a challenge for many of our children, especially as they juggle multiple subjects and activities. So instead of criticizing their ability to manage time, offer your assistance in developing a plan that helps them feel more organized and in control. Particularly for all children, this is a skill that they're learning. If you have a child who struggles with ADHD or other exceptional ways of learning, this is something that they may struggle with even more. So just be prepared with your words first and with supports around them to help them with time management. All right. Well, that is it. I really, really hope that with the curriculum and with your schedules and all the fancy notebooks and all the things, that this is a nice little preparation tool for you as well as you begin to enter the school year and you begin to think about what kind of atmosphere or environment you want to create. And I know we all want to create a validating and encouraging environment for our children. So these phrases, the supportive comments, are the ones you definitely want to lead with. So as parents, our words hold immense power. By choosing supportive and encouraging language, we can help our children navigate the challenges of learning to become a confident and competent writer. We can also help them to become more resilient along this particular process. So we also need to remember it's not just about grades or their assignments. It's about fostering a love of learning and helping your child develop the skills that they need to thrive. So together, let's work together to create an environment where our children feel valued, understood, and empowered to reach their full potential as young writers. You know where to find me. If you are looking for a class, you can definitely find me at writewithmrsbrown.com. You can send me an email for sure. You can, of course, find me on my podcast here on YouTube and everywhere podcasts are played. But most of all, I just want to let you know that you are the absolute best teacher for your child. You know your child better than anybody else. And so I am here to support you as you support your young writer. Until next time, keep on supporting those young writers in your life because every single child can become an exceptional writer. I'll see you next time.